All right, so we'll create our final animation sequence using our Mike the Frog PNG image, as we see here. Now, currently, in our animation, he's positioned off screen because the Mike selector has a left offset value of negative 15%. So this will be our start value. Then we want to move him so that our end value is at around 12%. So in our animation.css file, we'll need to create a new keyframe rule, and we will call this one Mike Move. Now we'll only need to include the 100% keyframe selector because, again, we already have our start value of negative 15%. So we only need to include the end value we want, which is 12%. So next, let's create another animation for our Mike the Frog image. We'll call this one Mike Float, and we'll only add a 50% keyframe selector. So this will make our Mike the Frog image seem like it's floating in the water. So we will use the WebKit transform property, and our first value will be the rotate z function, where we will give it a value of 5 degrees. Because it already has a rotate z start value of negative 5 degrees. So we want to make it seem like it's rotating left to right. So we'll keep that at 5. We'll follow that with a translate y function, and we will translate it negative 5 pixels up. So it appears as if it's moving up and down. So these animation sequences combined will make Mike seem like he's floating in the water. To see this, we'll again need to bind our animations to the Mike selector. So up top here, I will select Mike. Then I'll add the animation property. Now we can call both animation sequences we just created by comma separating the set of values configured for each animation. So first we will call the Mike Move animation, and we'll give it a duration of 6 seconds, a delay of 6 seconds, and we will give it a timing function of ease out, and finally a forwards fill mode. Next, we'll just add a comma here, and below it, I will call our next animation sequence Mike Float. I'll give it a duration of 3.2 seconds and an iteration count of infinite. So I'll save this. I'll refresh the animation in the browser, and there we go. So after 8 seconds, the background image stops, and there's our Mike animation, which was delayed by 6 seconds. I'll refresh it one more time. Cool. So all animations by default run as soon as the page loads. They're at a running play state. We can change its play state so that it begins at a paused state with the animation play state property. We'll go ahead and add it to the body rule. Now, by default, if we don't set an animation play state value, the animation play state will be running. So this is why we see the animation play right away. Now I'll go ahead and add an animation play state of paused to our background animation sequence. Now setting it to pause tells the browser not to immediately run the animation. We can simply add the value to the shorthand property, but we'll go ahead and view it in the browser. So we'll save this when we refresh. The background animation sequence is paused, and we can then resume the animation with either a state change like hover, active, or focus, or with something like JavaScript. But we don't need our animation to be paused, so we'll go ahead and leave it out. So that'll do it for our CSS animations project. Nice work. So as we just learned, CSS animations is a fun and powerful feature that can be used today in modern browsers to help us build rich animations on HTML elements.